And I said, come on over, you'll say.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Town of Portland podcast. With us this morning in our Connecticut Valley studio, is our first selectman, Mr. Ryan Curley, and it's the first time in the new digs. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you?
You're looking very dapper this morning now that we're on camera instead of just a still picture.
Well, I like this. I like this camera option now that we can do this. You're looking good yourself.
Well, I'm like I told you, now that I'm retired, I have trouble finding out what day it is. It's like,
You look a little more relaxed since the last time I saw you.
A little bit. So anyway, how you been? All right?
I've been all right. We've been busy.
All right, so do tell, what's happening in the great state of Portland, Connecticut?
Great, we got a lot going on, so I'll go through the list as always. First, I do want to talk about you're kind of in the news,
Uh-oh. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I know our last podcast, we thought that at the time, I didn't realize we would be continuing on. I'm happy that we are with your new retirement life. But the town, and there's plenty of people that want to honor you for your 50 years of service. And so we have an event at St. Clement's, which will be on March 7th. And we're selling tickets. It's not an official town-sponsored event, but so there's no tax funds going to this, so we're having to raise money ourselves. So we're selling tickets. They're $50 a piece, and you can purchase them in the town clerk's office now. They're available, so I hope that we have a sellout crowd at St. Clement, certainly, to thank you for all of your years of service.
Thanks so much. And that's, I believe, I was talking with Pam, that's going to include a buffet dinner and some entertainment, too. So,
well, are you the entertainment?
No, I'm not the entertainment, but we do have connections in that area. So.
I know you do. So I'll touch base on some other stuff that we have going on. One of the big things that we have going on is what to do about our Portland school system.
Yes.
And so you may recall I spoke about a survey that we had go out a couple months ago.
Uh-huh.
And that survey looked at or presented to the town 3 options.
Yep.
And so we had a school facilities committee here in town that did some great work for 2 years. And they ended up, at the time, it was a very close vote between closing one school or closing two schools. And so certainly those were 2 of the options that we looked at in the survey, with a third option being to do capital improvements at all of the schools and keep all of the schools open.
Correct.
But, a lot of people have pointed out there are some inefficiencies with that. Having those 3 elementary schools, it can't be simplified, we believe.
Sure.
So we put out a survey to the town, and Great Blue Research helped us conduct that survey, and every registered voter received a postcard in the mail, and we're able to take that survey. So we wanted to make sure that everyone in town was aware of this decision that was coming up, and that everyone had a chance to participate in the process.
Okay.
So that's why it was so important to get those postcards in the mail, because even if you didn't fill out the survey, you had the opportunity to do so.
Okay.
And so, the Board of Selectmen, I think, looked at that survey pretty closely.
Yep.
They presented the results a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
We had 1,000 responses in that survey, which is
pretty good.
It's pretty good. It means that it's a scientific survey, and I think they only need 300 to get a pretty good estimate of where we're at.
Yep.
So getting 1,000 was really good. And certainly, I wish we had 100% and every registered voter took it, but that's just not how it works all the time. So we have to use what we have available. And so the results were presented to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education, and it was interesting. The results were very interesting. And ultimately, the number 1 choice from the respondents in the survey were to close Gildersleeve, close Brownstone Intermediate School, and expand Valley View into a pre-K to grade 5.
Okay.
The 6th graders, which are currently at the Brownstone Intermediate School now, would move to the middle school, where they do have room and capacity currently. And so that was the number 1 choice, with about 56% of the respondents saying that they would be comfortable with that choice.
Okay. Yeah.
Number 2 was capital improvements. Number 2 was the fix what we got option.
Correct.
That came in at about 50%.
Okay.
And the third option was the close Gildersleeve and keep Brownstone and expand on to Valley View.
Okay.
Now that one came in number 3, but it was also the most expensive out of the 3 because you don't just have Valley View that you would have to redo, but you'd have Brownstone as well.
Which is the oldest school.
Which is the oldest,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think that was part of the reason why it came in third is because it was the most expensive option. But certainly my opinion, and we'll be talking about it at tonight's Board of Selectmen meeting, is that I think we have consensus from the town on the option to move forward with. And so we're going to use this to base our decisions on going forward. So I'm looking forward to a great conversation with the Board of Selectmen this evening. And I believe that, we have some big questions to answer between now and what we hope to have a bonding referendum question on the ballot in November. One of the big questions that we'd have to figure out is what would we do with the Gildersleeve property and what would we do with the Brownstone property?
Yep.
And so we have a committee that has been formed to evaluate and provide options for just that. And so that committee is going to be meeting for the first time at the end of this month.
Okay.
And it's not going to take, I don't believe, too long to present some real options to the town, maybe just a couple months. And so certainly one of the things that came out of that survey was the town wants to know, okay, if we're going to close 2 schools, what are we going to do with them?
Exactly.
Because I know a lot of people will remember Central School and that sitting for 20 years.
Me, one of them.
Yeah, and so I'm committed to making sure that if this does go forward, that doesn't happen this time. We're going to learn from any mistakes that were made in the past, and we're not going to recreate them.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things still to do. So we had a meeting with our superintendent and our Board of Education chair last week with Fryer Architecture, and we walked the Valley View property.
Yep.
And we looked at, and I had a lot of questions about, making sure that this plan is feasible.
Sure.
One of which is making sure that High Street can accommodate the traffic.
Yep.
And so there's going to be a traffic study that will be conducted. I'm thinking sooner than later because I don't want to get too far down the road and then have a problem come up. So we're going to look at that. And also Fryer is coming up with some preliminary design. So now that we have a plan, the superintendent has written what's called an education specification plan or an ed spec plan. And so the architecture firm is now going to take that ed spec plan and they're going to build or model a school based on that and then give us firmer prices. And I believe we're going to get those prices anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks from now. And so I believe the estimate originally for a pre-K to 5 Valley View with state reimbursement included was $27 million to the town. That was the preliminary estimate of what we would need to bond was $27 million. And which, believe it or not, was actually one of the cheaper options on the list.
Wow.
And so certainly you have to remember that there will be overhead savings from closing 2 schools.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gildersleeve and Brownstone, as well as you're not going to need as many, not teachers, but you're not going to need as many maybe custodians and
support people.
Support, yeah, exactly. And
administrative.
So we're going to look at that because basically I think that where we are now is that we have a direction that the town has advised us they'd like to go in.
Yep.
And my job and the Board of Selectmen's job is to take that and turn it into a plan that's feasible and and fiscally responsible because we want to make sure that whatever amount that we bond on the ballot, it does not put the town in any economic danger and it doesn't harm our mill rate. And I think that we can do that. I'm pretty optimistic that, we have some debt falling off next year.
Yeah.
And also I mentioned those overhead savings that I think we'll be able to get creative and do this project in a way that is fiscally responsible. So more to come on that. But we will be talking about it tonight. And it looks like the Board of Education has been working on that as well. They had a meeting last night and they discussed it.
Yep.
There seems to be consensus on the Board of Education that the close 2 schools, and the pre-K to 5 Valley View is the way to go as well.
Right.
And tonight I'll be looking for that same consensus from my Board of Selectmen members to see where they are at. And so I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe some members feel differently. We'll find out tonight. But my opinion is that we have to go with what the recommendations of the town are.
Sure, absolutely. Now, with that closing 2 schools, would the town still retain ownership of the Brownstone School?
My guess is yes, but I don't know that for certain yet, because certainly I know Brownstone, the building is not going anywhere.
No, it's not.
I can assure everyone that building is part of Portland's history, and we're very proud of it, and we have no intentions to get rid of that building, no matter what form it may take in the future.
Sure.
So I think that's a little premature to say at this point, but certainly there are plenty of options for that. It's a prime piece of real estate right on Main Street, as well as Gildersleeve has some beautiful land and the building as well. So
sure.
We're gonna get to work, and we got a lot of work to do. And so there'll be more to come on this, and we'll have some real numbers soon. And I believe we have to have everything to the state in order to get the school reimbursement. And
yes.
Our reimbursement rate is, I believe it's 52% we get reimbursed. So 52% of the cost of the project will go to the state, and then 48% will go to the town.
Okay.
So that's one of the benefits of building, renovating to new, which is what we're doing, as opposed to the capital improvement plan. The capital improvement option that was presented was similar in price, but the town was footing basically
the whole thing,
basically all of the bill, whereas this plan would allow us to maximize our dollars by getting that state reimbursement.
Now, would that plan also address the aging infrastructure at the high school, middle school?
Well, we're going to talk about that tonight, because that was one of the questions that was on the survey, was if we put forward a plan, would you, the voters, support also a measure to update the capital improvements at the secondary schools, which after it's been 20 years now since the expansion of the middle school. And so it's certainly showing some wear, and there are capital needs that are going to happen at the secondary schools over let's say the next 5 years. And so, the Board of Selectmen had talked about this, and we're a little cautious about going out to bonding now, asking the voters to pay all this money, and then knowing that we have to come back to them in 5 years or so. And so I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but one potential option that we could do is put the secondary schools as a second question on the ballot. So we could do one question to bond for the elementary school, and then one question to bond for the work at the secondary schools, and at least present that option to the voters. Now, again, like I mentioned, I want to do this in a fiscally responsible way, and that's what I'm committed to making sure happens. So we have to do a little more work before we can get to that point.
Well, like any town, and I think every town is facing the aging infrastructure problem. I think Portland is not unique in that plant, as far as that goes. So it's something that you have to consider the totality of everything and so forth. And we also have some water issues that we have to get addressed.
Yeah, honestly, it's a little much. We haven't had any real capital improvements to Valley View or Gildersleeve in almost 30 years, basically. And when we toured Valley View last week, I didn't realize that, the chimney is leaking. They actually have trash cans where they're collecting water in the hallway.
In the hallways.
And I am a graduate of Valley View Elementary School, and to be honest, I don't think it's changed very much since I went there in the early 90s.
And they got new wax on the floors.
So it was funny walking through the building because I hadn't been back in so long. But it hasn't really changed a bit, and I think it's showing. So I think our kids need a facility where the roofs aren't leaking, and they can just concentrate on learning.
A good learning environment, absolutely, absolutely.
So like I said, more to come on that, but that's one of the big topics that we got going on. We'll move on. Talk a little bit about some economic development. We have our Brainerd Place project that is humming. It is humming along. The developer is attending tonight's Board of Selectmen meeting, so we're still working on that update to the fixed tax agreement
A tax
that we have.
incentive, yeah.
And I believe that he will be going to planning and zoning for some proposed changes soon as well. So look for that. So I think I don't want to get ahead of that, but there are some changes to the project that I think some are very good for the town, and others are, I think, ultimately good for the town. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But I'm excited for the project. And
Well, there's a lot doing. I mean, that, like I said, that property's been vacant and dormant for many, many years. So to see something happening is good for the town.
yeah, and I think my concern at this point is making sure that we know the apartments are coming, but I want to make sure that those historic homes are saved.
Sure.
And so we're working on an agreement that guarantees that, okay, you can build the apartments, but maybe you don't get a CO on one of them until the historic homes are fixed up as well.
Yep,
And
yep.
so that's what I think our board is committed to is making sure that we get the product that we were promised.
Yep.
And so that's what we're working on that. But certainly it's a wonderful project, and we're really excited about it for the town and what this type of economic development means for the town. We did have some exciting, somewhat unpleasant news from the state last week regarding our Welcome to Portland
Yep,
sign,
yep,
our
yep.
historic Welcome to Portland sign. That was the brownstone slab that was in the median
Yeah, yeah.
when you come right into Portland. And the Department of Transportation told us on a Thursday that they didn't like that sign anymore. And on Friday morning, I got a call saying that they were ordering the workers at Brainerd Place to move that sign.
Got to go.
So they had to move it, and they had to move it in a hurry. And so it is now on the property of Brainerd Place,
Yep.
and we're going to work with DOT on a new home for that. But that's what happened with that. The town of Portland had no choice in that. It was in the state's right of way, and when the state says something has to go, apparently they mean immediately.
Yeah.
And so that was, I had a nice conversation with DOT when I was at a conference. I spent some time on the phone, but it's all good.
Okay.
So more to come on that. And then we'll talk about, we're coming into budget season. So that's one of the big things that we're working on as well. It's one of the things that we do every year. My budget needs to be presented to the town and to the Board of Selectmen on March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So I got less than a month to go before that's due. And the Board of Education did finalize their budget, and they have proposed and approved a 5.08% increase,
Okay.
which is it's not only a significant increase, but it also has many cuts to positions that were previously in last year's budget as well. So it's a really tough year for the Board of Education. I'm not sure, what the Board of Selectmen is going to do with that. I mean, certainly a 5% increase is something that I
It's a little steep.
It's a little steep. And especially because this year, my thought coming into the budget was the past couple of years with inflation and with all the costs that have gone up, it's been tough the past 2 years. So I'm coming into this budget season trying to give the taxpayers of Portland a break this year. And so certainly a 5% increase kind of puts a little damper on that
yeah.
goal of mine. So we're going to have to see how that all shakes out. But
We may have to have some bake sales or something.
I get, with all your free time, Dave, maybe you can bake some cookies for us.
Yeah, there you go.
So our grand list was finalized at the end of January. We had a 0.46% increase in the grand list last year, and that was made up of about almost a 1%, 0.95% increase to real estate, and a 2.64% increase in personal property. Now, both of those are great. We took a little bit of a bath on motor vehicle where we were down 4.09%, but real estate and personal property are where you want your growth to be. So
Sure.
I'm very encouraged by that grand list news. I think that we're headed in the right direction.
Okay.
And it's interesting to see our top taxpayers this year compared to the past couple of years. We have some new players in the game right now, and actually Brainerd Place is our number one real estate taxpayer
There you
right
go.
now, and also Birdon is one of our top 10 taxpayers.
Yes.
So those are two organizations that didn't exist in Portland 3 years ago, and,
Right.
and now they're two of our top taxpayers. So we're very fortunate for that, and we're happy they're here.
Yeah, I know Birdon has contributed significantly to a lot of the employment growth in town also.
Absolutely. They're new. Have you seen their new building?
Yes. I haven't been in it, but
I haven't been in it yet, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
looks pretty good.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So then I want to talk a little bit about what's called the Middlesex County Revitalization Commission. This is a committee I've spoken about a year ago, and I'm actually the chair of the MCRC Commission, and it's run through the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce. And about a year ago, they received a grant from DECD, an economic development grant, to issue to businesses, small businesses.
Yep.
And they have $1 million that they're going to be giving out for the next 5 years.
Okay.
And so $200,000 a year. And businesses can apply. Any business in Middlesex County can apply. And you can get a grant of up to $25,000. That's a grant that you don't need to pay back. It's
okay.
And so certainly I want to get Portland businesses to be aware of this and to apply for this, because last year we had some good applicants, but not enough. We had a lot more businesses in town that didn't apply. And so we want to get that out. Dave, as a small business owner yourself.
Sign me up.
Exactly. So the grants can be used for basically one of two options. One, you can apply for a hardship that you may be experiencing. The grants came about during COVID.
Yeah.
So it was originally kind of written to help those struggling with the effects of the pandemic. But there's also things that have happened since, like the work on the swing bridge in Haddam and East Haddam.
Which has impacted a lot of people.
Exactly. So the first round last year awarded a decent amount of grants to help those businesses that may be struggling due to the bridge closures. And so there's a hardship way to apply for the grant, but there's also a growth aspect as well. So if you're a business that is looking to hire more employees and you just need, some equipment to be able to do that, this grant is a great opportunity and to go about that and to help with that. So we're really excited about it, and I'm going to take the show on the road and go door to door to our Portland businesses and pass out flyers and just make sure that every business in town is aware of it and has the opportunity to apply if they want to.
Nice. Okay, great.
Yeah, so that's some good news. And the Board of Selectmen recently approved fire engine number 3, which then went to a special town meeting. It was approved by the voters in Portland. 55 residents turned out, and all 55 voted in favor of that fire engine, which was pretty good. I don't think we get unanimous votes too often in town, so it's great to see that when it happens.
Well, when you have support of the Portland Volunteer Fire Department, I mean that's a huge asset for the town, and I think people recognize that.
Yeah, the least we can do is properly equip them.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And so also want to, again, give a shout out to the town of East Hampton for letting us borrow one of their older engines while we await our new engine. And that is home at Company 3.
Yep.
And it just barely fits in the garage bay there.
I saw the picture.
It's a little snug, but it'll work for now, and we certainly want to thank East Hampton for letting us do that. And I do want to talk a little bit about Brownstone Avenue, our property that we've been remediating for the past couple of years, really. We purchased the property in 2019.
Yep.
We got a grant, a $1.125 million grant from DCD to remediate that property. And the bulk of the work is done. I was down there yesterday. We're working on a grant. UConn is helping us write a grant. It's called a BAR grant, a Brownfield Area Remediation Grant.
Okay.
And it's a planning grant. And what we're doing is we're going to look for develop a master plan, should we be successful with this grant, for that area. And really, we have some nice riverfront property now that has been cleaned up. And it's ready to go.
Yep.
And so we're going to be issuing an RFP looking for businesses to put forward some ideas on what they'd like to see there and to propose some good options. And we're going to pick the best option for the town for that property. And
nice.
So the whole goal all along is to get that back on the tax rolls or generating revenue for the town. So I don't know if we'd lease the property or if we would sell it outright, but certainly both options are on the table, and we're going to take the best deal for for Portland.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, so that's exciting. We're looking forward to that. We've had a lot of turnover in the police department, as I'm sure you might know. You're not the
Yes.
only one who's retired. And so with that, I'm pleased to say that we have 2 new police officers that will be joining us. And not only we have 2 new police officers, but they are both certified police officers.
Okay.
And so that is good news because they will be able to start right away.
Hit the ground running.
Exactly. So I will be swearing in Officer Justin Cochran tomorrow on February 8th.
Okay.
And his first day is tomorrow, and so we're excited for Justin and to welcome him to the town of Portland. He's really excited to be here. He's coming to us from New Jersey, so
Okay.
he's a New Jersey transfer, and we're very excited to welcome him to the town of Portland. And we also have Officer Bill Madano, and Bill is coming to us from the city of Middletown, so he's a little closer.
Okay.
And I will be swearing Bill in for his first day on February 20th, so
Nice.
coming up soon. So that is great, to have those 2 new
Fill those
officers.
ranks out.
Exactly,
Nice.
exactly.
Nice.
And we have a new employee in our land use office. Faye Yaka has joined us. Her first day was on Monday. And Holly Marrero is moving over from land use to the senior center.
Okay.
Because our employee Alexis is retiring.
Yes.
In this month.
And retiring thing, it seems to be a thing now these days.
I don't know. I think you started a trend, Dave.
Well, 50 years is enough for me, so.
It's a long time.
Yes.
It's certainly a long time. So I think I covered pretty much everything, unless, do you have any questions for me, Dave?
Yeah. Well, do you have any update on the water system on the wells?
Well, that is something that we're all waiting for with bated breath at this point.
Okay.
I was told we would have that report early this week, and it's Wednesday, so it could come at any moment.
Okay.
That water report that we're waiting on. So that's really where we're at.
Okay.
GZA is the
Finishing
firm we've been working with, and they wanted to cross their T's and dot their I's, I guess, on this. And so we're very optimistic with this. But there again is a lot of work that still needs to do. We did meet with DPH, as you know, back in December, and they were very helpful, pointing us in the right direction on property, on the permitting process and what needs to be done and when. So,
Okay.
So we definitely have a direction that we need to go in, and we're going to need funding to do that as well.
There
and
we
so,
go.
There's some opportunities at the federal level, at the state level
Yes.
for funds, and so we're going to be exhausting all opportunity to get grant funds of any kind for this project, and it's very important. But I'm still very optimistic about it. It just these types of projects take a little time to get going. And boy, you reminded me of a couple other projects when you said that. Water project. What else was I going to tell you about? I can't remember now.
That's all right.
That's all right. Oh, man. I had something else good, too. But, all right, maybe we'll save it for next time.
We'll save it for next time.
Yeah,
So
but no, this is great, Dave. It's nice seeing you in your new digs over here. And
Yeah, no, it works. We're doing quite a few podcasts over here now for various agencies, and I have my careers podcast, so we're going to be taking that on the road. I'm putting together a mobile podcast studio, and my careers in the water industry. I'm working on some sponsorships now from AWWA. And so hopefully we can get that on the road, and we can start, just the, bit of information, from a standpoint. Again, we call the retirement thing is definitely a thing. We call it in the water industry, we call it the gray tsunami. And a lot of people are retiring. The average age of a water operator in the state of Connecticut is 54 years old. Wow. So we got to start filling that pipeline.
just a young buck, right, Dave?
Yeah. So we got to start filling that pipeline and get some young blood in there and bringing them up through the ranks so we can get certified operators. So.
Oh, and I did think of the 2 things I wanted to mention too.
Oh, see,
so
I knew you would.
So I just want to let everyone know that we continue to work on our expansion of the airline trail. So
Okay.
phase 2 is still in the works. I have a meeting with Eversource in a couple weeks, and we're going to be walking the property and looking at the best way. we presented a plan to Eversource for our phase 2 and to get the trail expanded to get to, I guess it would be Gospel Lane. That's where we're trying to get to right now. And so I'm encouraged to meet with Eversource and to see what they have to say. So more to come on that. And then we continue to work on our boat launch project as well. And we're working with the DEEP on that, and also our town engineer to continue that project. And we had to wait. We had a little bit of a hang up because Deep found or discovered a new species that was in the area. I think it's some kind of a spotted turtle or something that we need to look for in the spring. And so we hired a person that specializes in this, and they're going to be out there to see. Hopefully we don't have any in the area that would need to be mitigated, and moved. But if we do, then we have to come up with a plan and move it. And that's all being funded by a grant from the state as well. So there's no town of Portland.
And the airline trail, but the boat launch is down at Tomaso Field, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
It's right. The proposed road is right across the old first baseline of the old ball field there.
See, there you go.
So yeah, we got a lot of projects in the works, and a lot of good stuff to come. And then I guess I'll just mention we do have some big development in the works on Brownstone Avenue as well, and so there'll be more to come on that. I don't want to get too much ahead of that because I think we're going to do a big announcement, but certainly we have some very exciting stuff ahead.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Curley is in the house. All right. Fantastic. Ryan, thanks so much for coming down and for the Town of Portland podcast. And that kind of sums it up for a little bit. We're going to try to get in a couple of months anyway, if we can, if that's okay with you.
No, this is great, Dave. Thanks for having me.
I've got our superintendent of schools coming in at noontime, and he's going to be coming in and doing his podcast for the Board of Education. So he's got a lot of exciting stuff that I'm sure he's going to be rolling out too. So anyway, Mr. Ryan Curley, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of the Town of Portland podcast, and we are live here in the studio at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, and I'm your host, Dave Kuzminski, retired, by the way. So we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Dave Kuzminski. Please tune in every week for new and relevant conversations about the town of Portland. You can find us at portlandct.org or at YouTube/Town of Portland, and now wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you've enjoyed our podcast, please consider subscribing and sharing with friends. This podcast was produced by the Town Tech Educational Partnership Program, which is a partnership between Portland High School and the Portland Town Hall. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or organization, check out towntech.org/podcast to learn more.